Janibek Alimkhanuly. I gotta say that slow because it's a little bit tricky if you say it too fast. Versus Vincenzo Gualtieri. This is a unified title fight. Both men are putting their belts on the line, man. You know how we get down. Let's get into it. Let's start with Janibek. 14 wins, no losses, 9 wins by way of knockout. Okay, let's talk through it. 160-pound division, the middleweight division. This is a division that many people have said this is one of the least exciting divisions in boxing today. I do think personally, I think this division has some flavor to it, but we haven't gotten the right mixture of spices to really season the pot. You know what I'm saying? You saw what I did there? Now, there are people there. Lots of very good fights there in the division, in my opinion, but we just haven't gotten the fights that we want to see just yet. There's some young talent, as we saw last weekend in Elijah Garcia and Resendiz. All right, let's touch on the 4 belt holders in this division, right? Janibek is one. Arislandi Lara is another one. Gualtieri is one. And Jermell Charlo is one. That makes up the 4 that have the title. Carlos Adames is in this division as well. Chris Eubank Jr., Felix Cash, Shane Mosley Jr., Miriam Nursultanov. I think I may have butchered that. Forgive me, my guy. And Denzel Bentley. So just a couple names, right? Just a couple names that are probably the more well-known names in this division. But it's a division, while it may not be as exciting as some of the other ones, it has the potential to really at least thrive, or at least get a nice upward tick if we get to see these fights. I say all of that, added all of those guys, because one, I want to get your opinion on this as well, right? I want to know your thoughts about the division. What do you think? Do you think it's a boring division? Do you think it's not an exciting division? Do you think there's some key players in the division that haven't been discussed? Let me know your thoughts. So that's one of the reasons why I just went there and kind of added those extra details, because on my channel, we break down the fight and we talk through it. We always have love and respect for the fighters, man, and we always make sure we try our best to come with non-biased opinions. We keep it straight down the middle, and I appreciate each of you, and I respect your opinions and your thoughts, but I bring it all together because I have to ask, how good is Janibek? Let's talk through it. 308 as an amateur, a very, very impressive record. World champion 2013, very impressive amateur status, amateur pedigree. I first heard of him back in 2018 when he fought Carlos Galvan. And my thoughts after that fight was, this man's pretty good. He does some really good stuff inside the ring. Technique is solid, good power, moves well inside of the ring. I can see why this guy has had a lot of success in the amateur pedigree. Professional, similar but different at the same time. After that, he fought Vaughn Alexander, and he was in a tough fight against Vaughn. Alexander might not have been a well-known guy like that, but he's very good. Very solid, old school, close range type of guy where it's that tit for tat. I'm not trying to do all of this angle changing and moving. I'm going to be right there, right in front of you. Let's get busy. Show me what you got. And although Janibek took some punches that he could have evaded, the traps that he was setting in that fight and the uppercuts that he was landing with force accuracy was a thing of beauty. And what I liked about him in that fight was he saw the deficiency. He saw what was working for him in that fight, and he went straight to that. That is a good level of ring IQ inside of the fight in real time. After that, he fought, I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Martinez. And in that fight, he showed something a little bit different from his previous fights. He was showing he could box on the outside using his jab to set up his shots. The accuracy was apparent. The placement was apparent. But you got to see the power from both hands, not just the left, but the right as well. The combinations work was solid, but man, when he really makes that uppercut a priority, it is lethal. The one thing I appreciate about Janibek, man, is he always has a way of finding and creating his own offense. He'll find the openings one way or another, and that's intuition. To be able to anticipate or to put yourself in a position where you're going to be successful without thinking too much about it, man. Intuition is a beautiful thing in boxing. Now, let's fast forward a little bit when he fought Rob Brandt a step up in competition a little bit, and he found his rhythm early in that fight. That left hand could not miss that night. It got ugly real fast. The speed, the accuracy, the angle slips, and the placement in his punches, it was a similar thing that he did to Hassam Nandiyam. He fought Danny Dingham last year, and Janibek made easy work of Dingham. He dropped him with a flurry of shots, closed the gap in a second, and just caught him with like 4 to 5, 6-piece combination of punches, and he dropped him. His hand speed was quicker than I've ever seen him in that fight before. And that uppercut that he hit him with to close out the show, whew, thing of beauty once it connects. You have to be careful of that Janibek uppercut, man, because he slips it in with subtlety, but forcefully and intentionality every time he lets that hand go. After that, he fought Denzel Bentley, and it was a tale of two stories in that fight. Early on, it was all Janibek, fighting the openings, pushing the pace, combinations, boxing, and showing the skill that we have learned to see that he has. But then Bentley, being the fighter that he is, fought his way back into the fight, won a bunch of the middle rounds. Bentley rose to the occasion as well. I think he stepped up his boxing in that fight as well, too. And just that sheer heart and will and pride of a person in competitive field, it just raises you to a whole new level. Bentley did on that night. And he's got a chin on him that I did not think that he had as well, too. And he never quit. And he fought fire with fire and pushed his opponent back as best as he could. And if he was a bigger puncher, maybe he would have caught Janibek with a shot that might have wobbled him and rocked him, and who knows, maybe even dropped him. Because when you're tired, you know that a fight could go 50-50. It could go either way. When the mind is tired, when the body is tired, even when the mind is willing and able, we're humans first, which means we are working with our physical bodies. And Janibek and Bentley, they were both tired. Bentley fought his way back into the fight, and now we go into the 10th round. Now we get to see what he's made of in a fight where a lot of people said that he was going to knock out Bentley early in the fight. Yeah, it's one thing, but it's another thing when it doesn't happen. How do you make adjustments in real time? How do you adjust the game plan in real time when your body is tired and you're aching and you know that this is a tougher fight than you anticipated? What do you do? 2 rounds left to go. And I think some of the judges had it even or had Janibek up 1. Now these rounds matter even most. That's when Janibek, to me, I gained that much more respect for him, because that's when he started to land some heavy punches that were very eye-catching and made him solidify those rounds. But at the same time, Bentley made it tough and made him earn it, because every time Janibek punched him, Bentley, it looked like he was going to go down, but he came back swinging, giving everything that he had to stand the test of the fight. And he made sure that if he's going to lose, it is not because he did not give his 100% effort. Janibek, to me, from rounds 10 to 12, he landed the bigger shots, the more eye-catching shots, and it was like he knew what he needed to do, and his body and mind was able to bring him there, and he was able to get the win. One of the best fights that I've seen of him, because we know he had to dig deep, and we figured a little bit more about Janibek than we didn't know before in previous fights. But at the same time, it looked this figure who a lot of people thought was untouchable to some extent, right? And was this guy who couldn't be beat to some extent. We saw that he isn't as untouched as a lot of these news people were saying, a lot of these announcers were saying, because it showed the flaws that he had, and it maybe even showed a formula of how you could beat him. In his last fight, he fought Stephen Butler. That fight ended in 2 rounds. I don't think we expected Steve Butler to really do too much in that fight, and it kind of showed, right? I know all of the great things about Janibek does. I know, man, it's not easy to see the skill, to see the athleticism of this guy. He's a beast, no doubt about that. But how good is he? Goes back to the question that I asked at the beginning of the video. How good is he as the competition goes up? And we will continue to find that out as he steps more and more into the ring moving forward. But let's talk about his opponent, Gualtieri. 21 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 7 wins by way of knockout. Gualtieri had a big fight last year when he fought Escovilla Falco right in his home country, right there in Germany. Let's start there. He was fighting Falco, who's strong, good power in his shots, solid fighter, but where he lacks his weakness is in his movement, and the setups is not really a whole bunch of traps, not too many feints. After a while, it becomes predictable, and that's kind of what it was for him in that fight. Gualtieri doesn't have a crazy amount of power, so that's going to be something of question for me, right? As if you don't have a crazy amount of power, and if Janibek doesn't respect your power, he's just going to press forward the whole time. And if you can't get his respect, the pressure could tire you out, even if your conditioning is solid. As Gualtieri's conditioning, it's solid. He's operating at a high level in that category. But at the same time, man, Gualtieri can box, man. He moves very well laterally. He's deceivingly quick, right? His jab is solid. And while he doesn't have that knockout, one-shot knockout type of power, he can back you up. There's some pop in his shots, not a crazy amount, but there is some sting to him, right? He's skilled. And that's what he showed when he fought Falco. He just focused on his boxing, using the jab to create separation, keep range, and land it and get out of range, and just took what was given to him in that fight. He didn't take too many risks. He knew what the situation was and stuck to his game plan. He's a very disciplined fighter. Falco was trying to pressure him against the ropes, but Gualtieri never stayed in the ropes for too long, always moving, anticipating what his next move is going to be. To me, his offense is solid, but his defense is much better than his offense, in my opinion. He dropped Falco in the 10th round, but it looked like it was a mix of Falco being tired and Gualtieri maybe pushed him a little bit, type of flash knockdown. So, take that for what it was. But from what I've seen of him, man, look, this is not a guy that you can take lightly, because if you do take him lightly, you're going to figure it out pretty quickly that this guy is pretty good, man. And if you take him lightly, you might find yourself down on the cards, because in a way, he's kind of elusive. Now, I'm not talking Sugar Ray Leonard elusive, not talking Roy Jones Jr. elusive, none of those guys, but he's elusive in his own way. Gualtieri has fought all of his fights in Germany, and this is his first fight away from home. So that's going to come with a lot of outside unfamiliar territory, right? He hasn't fought someone like the package of all that Janibek possesses. So this is going to be a tough fight for him. He is a champion, yes, but he's never lost before. That's a mentality. He doesn't know how to lose. So that's the level of confidence that you take into the ring. And when you watch him fight, he's confident. He was kind of styling on Falco just a little bit, right? Hands down, moving, ducking the head. But you cannot take this man lightly. You cannot let him lull you into thinking that he can't be effective in his spot. So who wins? I think Janibek's patience is going to be tested here, because he's going to want to close out the show, of course, make it an exciting fight. But Gualtieri isn't going to make it easy. And if Janibek can't close the gap and cut off the ring, he might get frustrated and try and force the fight, because Gualtieri is always moving and his conditioning is solid. He moves like this from round 1 to round 12. He's very consistent. Where I struggle for Gualtieri to see is I'm not sure he can do enough offensively to steal momentum of the fight and control it, or slow it down if it goes too crazy. Janibek is going to have his moments to land, and he will, and he's going to try to land big. But when Gualtieri is on the offense, can he do the same? I'm not sure he will be able to hurt Janibek. And if he's not able to hurt Janibek, I don't think Janibek's going to be respectful of his power, and he's just going to march through some of those shots. He also doesn't throw a whole lot either, and he's going to need to let his hands go a little bit more, and that comes with him taking a risk. And from the fights that I've seen and have watched of him, not a lot of risk. He's not really a risky guy. He's disciplined, and sometimes discipline in a fight when you are already at a disadvantage doesn't always work in your favor. I like Janibek in this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're enjoying the videos, enjoying the content, getting something from it, then I hope that you consider being a member of this channel. I don't always get to do all the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section below, but if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you that week. Or if you'd like to become a member just to support the channel, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated as well. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for all of the super chats. Thank you for all of the Cash App, the PayPal. Man, it means so much and truly, truly does go a long way in moving this channel forward. So if you're watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.